Okay, so I'm going to show you guys my face so that you guys see it. So they keep talking about I lighten my skin. I did not. As you can see, this skin is still much darker than this. This was my real color skin. So is this skin on my arm. And you can tell it's the face is still darker. I had this tan. You can tell there's a difference between this part and this part since I went to Disney World, Florida. But this was my real coloring. So at one point, my skin, when I used to go to the sleepovers, and that's part of why they wanted to always be around me when I slept and have the sleepovers. I didn't know that until now. I mean, it started to make sense now. I'm 50 now. It didn't make sense when I was like 10 or a child. So before I go into some of the other things that they're saying about, again, they keep saying even now that I lighten my skin. I did not. I evened the skin tone out and never did it afterwards. So they said, well, you put lemon juice on your face because I saw a show and they said to smooth out like discolorations, you put lemon juice. That doesn't change your skin color. That's my whole point. I never changed my skin color. And if I and that would have happened when I was like a teenager, so maybe when I was about 15, 14, 15. And you can tell it's still darker. And I wouldn't have to have used it. I didn't know why my skin was darker until now. So part of what they're doing is they try to go over things that they've done to me in the past to say that I've had a string of people taking advantage of me. So that would have started with them. And like I said, I can't go into that anymore. Yes, I am going to ask the court for a restraining order against their whole family. They shouldn't be in my life. I've never been to school with anyone who did this to me. They can't name one other person who tried to keep staying in my life. They made up this whole dream thing, this whole robot thing to stay in my life. I don't understand. And they're upset by it. So they said, when I was at Lacoste, there were black men coming in who I didn't want to come in. And I said, one of my coworkers only attracts black people. That's not what I said. Clearly, I've had black customers throughout my career. Remember, I'm the person who they wanted to get experience from. And that's my whole point. I've never seen people turn my abilities into their abilities as though it's so normal. And that's part of what I'm saying. When I'm listening to these folks talk, they sound like they're nuts. So they said, I've always been taken advantage of throughout my life by people. Why would anyone hire me repeatedly if I have a problem with being taken advantage of? We're talking about this starting in 2016. Suddenly in 2016, we're going to go over 40 something years of people's lives, miss the part that's good, and only focus on the bad. And now they said, no, black men don't like me. That's a lie. And I've proven it over and over and over again. As I'm going through the videos, it's too hard to go over 2,000 something videos to find one particular thing. But as I just find things, I'm going to link it in the description. So if you're looking for some of my older videos from like 2019, 2021, 2022, I'll link those videos if I can find them, so that you guys can kind of, if you just started watching these videos now, you can kind of figure out what happened. So another big lie is they said one of my coworkers brought in a guy to sell jewelry to me. I didn't buy any jewelry from him. I mean, what are we now doing? We're looking for other people to blame this on. That's what it is. So they're upset now that it seems, here's the truth. When people tell you something, please listen to them. The truth is they need to find some other people to blame this on so the focus won't be on them. So now they said outright, why didn't I, blame this person or that person or this person? And they're hoping that I can link it all together. And who do I find when I link it all together? Them. Digging up stuff about other people now. It's the same pattern they tried with me. The only difference, they're saying something. The only difference is I recorded it and these people didn't. So if they can find all these other people who try little things to get me to do something, and didn't happen that way, and they never pushed the issue, then they're going to say, well, that person did the same thing. They did not. This is force. This is, and I did the video where I said by force. They wanted to clone me, and they tried to do it by force, and they're still trying to figure out what I'm going to say before I say it. So in a video, someone left a comment, I was talking quickly because I have to, because they cut me off. So the person said, please slow down, meaning, what am I saying? Partially, I used to be a fast talk before I was hit in the head. You notice when my head's a little smaller, I can speak better. My neck, look at my neck. My neck is a normal size neck. My neck was like this wide, as wide as my jaw. My head was all big. So it slowed down my normal way of speaking. But also, if they're cutting me off, I have to speak fast. And I used to tell you guys that way before that video. I have to speak quickly because they're going to cut me off. And they have cut me off. So now what they're trying to do to take the blame and focus off themselves is, well, this one did this one. That one did that. That is a value that they expected me to have. No. They're doing exactly the types of things that I said they would do. Take the blame off themselves by shifting it on someone else. I didn't buy any jewelry from that person. The car incident that they're referring to, I got my money back. They said, well, did the guy make any money off me? They said he made a few hundred. Probably not even. It was deal with it that way, or I would have called the police. I mean, that's my whole point. That is not even an incident. That's something that occurs when you're dealing with car dealers who aren't reputable. So these types of things where they said this one took advantage, they said someone was behind my car getting stolen. Obviously, that's how cars get stolen. I mean, it's not like the cars just disappear into thin air. It was stolen. So when we're going to start bringing up all these things, why didn't you guys bring it up and call the police at the time? You're talking about my car was stolen in 1997. That was decades ago. So why is it relevant now? Oh, because you're the one I'm taking to court. You're the ones I'm going to make sure this is on record that is happening. We're trying to get to a point where everyone's aware of this technology that's designed, and I'm going to use that word again, designed, created, made to make people look mentally ill. And you had no conscience in doing this until you got caught. Suddenly, it's about me. It's not about you anymore. Now it's about me. I'm the bad person. I'm the bad person in this situation because I caught you. So now this person's the bad person, and that person's the bad person. This person's the bad person. So everyone's the bad person except the people who created and used technology to make me look mentally ill, who put these voices in to falsely accuse me of doing some of the worst things ever. Things I can't even bear. And then you keep saying it over and over again because it's so unbearable to me. So it's meant to drive me nuts. So now black men, oh, it's the black man's fault. Blame the black man. Well, when do we not blame the black man? They said they caught me saying something that I know I didn't say. I did not deal with mental illness, folks. I'm not a mentally ill person. But this technology does create the symptoms of mental illness. And like I said, when you're talking about these things, come out and do it to my face. No, they don't. They run. The other point about this is they said something else. So they talked about the car, and they said they made a few. Oh, they said that someone in my family didn't want to pay for something. It wasn't a few $100s. It was more than that. And they ended up paying. But here is my point. Sometimes in the process of people trying to explain things, they make themselves look far worse. I was 20 years old when this incident that they're referring to occurred. I was a kid, much younger than everyone involved. Even now, like I said to you, out of the people they're referring to, I'm the young one. And they seem to have a problem with accepting a child as a child. I've never seen people who can justify treating a child like the child isn't a child. They said they thought when I was a kid I was the devil. That is a mental problem. If you see a child, and again, I've got to talk about this. And I hope members of this community who deal with these issues realize if at any point you think a child is the devil or something tells you the child has the devil in them, please call someone to get help. If you're afraid to call law enforcement, there are help agencies out there. Call them for mental support, because at no time is a child a devil or possessed by a devil or a demon or anything like that. Children are not that. And they are the most vulnerable people in society, the most vulnerable. Then I would say the elderly and the disabled. But the most vulnerable are children, because they're too young. They don't have life experience. They're brand new to our life experiences. And one of the cutest things, I'm going to end on a good note. One of the cutest things that ever happened to me is a little cousin of mine tried applesauce for the first time. She was probably about 3 years old. She had to have been three. And she said, I've never had anything so good in my life. This is the best thing I've ever had in my whole entire life. I said, in 3 years? You mean in 3 years you've never had anything as good as this? She looked up at me and said, no, no. A 3-year-old. Everything's new to them. They're not possessed by the devil. They're not bad. They're not possessed by demons. If ever you hear a voice tell you that or you feel that, call for help, because that's a sign. And this is what I'm talking about in this technology. This is how that technology works. It doesn't work like this how it works in my case. That's how it works. And they say these horrible things and you're supposed to believe it. If that happens to you, if you can't call the police because you think something may happen, call someone for help. There are mental health experts who are used to dealing with these situations. Thank you for watching.